We've got a special Derby edition for you. Our Marvis Herring is live at Churchill Downs with us.
Yes, Lauren, that's right. We're outside of Churchill Downs right now, getting ready for Kentucky Derby 146. A lot to talk about on today's newscast. Several protests are planned for today in Metro Louisville. We know at least one of them starts as early as 8 o'clock this morning. Coming up, we're going to tell you how Louisville Metro Police are planning for those protests and how protest organizers are responding. Plus, Derby Day is down to its smallest field in the last 17 years. We'll take a look at the horses still in the race, including one with a connection to Louisville. We have a lot coming up, like I mentioned. But first, let's talk about this fall weather. Let's bring in meteorologist Suzanne Horgan for a look at your Derby Day forecast. Hey, Suzanne.
Hey, Marvis.
Several groups are expected to protest today in Metro Louisville, especially down here at Churchill Downs. But Louisville Metro Police say they will not interfere as long as those protests remain peaceful. One of the representatives from LMPD, actually their deputy chief, says LMPD will have help from state police as well as the National Guard, as is typical for Derby Day. She says the goal is to keep everyone safe.
We're prepared for large crowds to come, and we hope everyone will enjoy the Derby. And we're also prepared for others to express their First Amendment rights. We don't know how large these crowds will be. But we do intend to not intervene with lawful protests that are not violent.
And a large number of officers will be stationed not only near Churchill Downs, but also along Broadway and throughout downtown. Additionally, Central Avenue from 3rd Street to Taylor Boulevard will be closed. That'll be both to cars and to pedestrians. And traffic on Oakdale Avenue will be limited to people who live there and people working at the track. Well, one protest group is actually slamming city officials for what they call excessive security measures. That group, No Justice, No Peace Louisville, actually said they plan to meet at 4:30 this afternoon at South Central Park, and then they're going to march down to Churchill Downs. The coalition consists of Until Freedom members, as well as local activists and pastors. Members are upset about the closure of Central Avenue and the heavy police presence of LMPD and the Kentucky National Guard.
Talk of looting, all of the talk of rioting, all of the talk of violence, it has not happened. And yet, we're here today, and there are military tanks, armored vehicles behind me. There is a ridiculous fencing system.
Another group, NFAC, has a separate protest also planned for today. Meantime, a third group, which is actually led by a man who goes by the Angry Viking, also plans to meet at 8 o'clock for a pro-police rally at Cox Park. The Angry Viking, who did not disclose his actual name, did an interview with WHAS Radio earlier this week. He says he took issue with the city actually referring to his group as a militia group, referring to the Mayor Fisher's comments and LMPD.
What we are is a group of like-minded Americans of all races, cultures, sexes that have come together, and we said we are tired of seeing all this chaos happening in these cities.
And when he was asked if members would be armed, he said he didn't tell anyone to come armed, but added it is everyone's constitutional right to do so. He also says his group is not counter-protesting the calls for justice for Breonna Taylor. Churchill Downs will play Kentucky's controversial state song before tonight's Derby. Longtime bugler Steve Buttleman will perform My Old Kentucky Home with no lyrics before the Run for the Roses. The track will also hold a moment of silence. Churchill Downs says it will recognize the inequities that many in our nation still face and reflect on renewed hope. Stephen Foster actually wrote that song back in 1854. He said it tells the story of an enslaved man forcibly separated from his family and longing to return home to his wife and children. Meantime, let's talk about the race itself. The Kentucky Derby will have its smallest field in the last 17 years. Long shot Finnick the Fierce was scratched Friday. We still don't know exactly why that happened. No reason has been given for that. But King Guillermo was also scratched this week. That was because of a fever. An art collector is out because of a minor foot issue. That means as of right now, 16 horses will start in the Derby. It is the smallest field since Funnyside won in 2003 for trainer Barclay Tagg, who you will remember will saddle the heavy Derby favorite Tis the Law later today. Well, from protests to the big race, we'll have full continuing coverage throughout the weekend, of course, and everything you need to know about the Derby, including that Kentucky Derby Day forecast. All you need is that free WLKY mobile app. I'm going to be live out here outside of Churchill Downs all morning long, but for now, let's head back into the studio for more top stories with Lauren Adams.
Marvis, thank you.
All right, thank you, Suzanne. And we expect protests to start again today. It will mark the 101st straight day of protest here in Louisville as many people call for racial justice across the metro Louisville area. Our Shaquille Lord spoke with a group downtown last night who says they're disappointed with the city for celebrating Derby instead of giving justice for Breonna Taylor. And we do know that several groups plan their protest today. The group No Justice, No Peace Louisville plans to meet at South Central Park at 4:30 and then march down here to Churchill Downs. And there's another group, NFAC. We've seen them here in Louisville before. They plan another protest for today. And there is also a third group led by a man known as Angry Viking. They plan on a pro-police rally meeting at Cox Park at 8 o'clock this morning. Meantime, Metro Police say while they're not sure exactly how many people to expect today at those protests, they are prepared to keep everyone safe. LMPD's deputy chief says that the department will have help from state police and the National Guard. She says that's typical for Derby Day. A large number of officers will be stationed not only near Churchill Downs, but also along Broadway and throughout downtown. LMPD is warning everyone not to believe speculation and to verify rumors that are circulating on social media.
Words are meant to stoke high emotions. They're meant to instill fear and division. We can't have that as a city. We need to come together. These rumors continue to persist because people pass them around.
And LMPD says they do not intend to intervene with protests that remain peaceful. Meantime, Wagner's Pharmacy is a staple for Derby Day, but this Derby Day, Wagner's Pharmacy will be closed. Fences went up early Friday, and there were roads closed around there, blocking most of the entrances to Wagner's parking lot. Employees say throughout the week, trainers as well as owners have stopped in for breakfast after morning workouts. Every one of those meals helps support the Permanent Disabled Jockeys Fund. Even though employees are seeing fewer locals and tourists, the ones coming in have high spirits.
It's something that they're going to do because it's in them to do. It's just not, oh, well, there's no derby. It's like, no, it's going to be a derby. Even if it's not the same, they're not allowing the people in, but people still have, as I say, derby fever.
They may be closed this year, but next year they're celebrating a big milestone. It will be the 100th year for Wagner's Pharmacy. But let's talk about the race itself. It is Derby Day. The Kentucky Derby will have its smallest field in the last 17 years, but there is still a Louisville-born trainer with a horse in today's race. Dale Romans is hoping to become the first from the area to wear the roses. His horse, Attachment Rate, is considered a long shot with 50-1 odds. He placed second in the Ellis Park Derby.
Racing's been my life. That's my bloodline since I was born. My mother said the first time I went in the barn I have here was 9 months old. And the Kentucky Derby is the heart of horse racing. I think Attachment Rate had turned into one of the now horses. You know, he couldn't have been ready. He wasn't physically mature mentally or physically ready for May. He's a different horse today, and I think he's going the right direction.
And back in 2017, Romans took the title as a trainer with the most wins at Churchill Downs, but that record was overtaken this summer by Steve Asmussen. And trainer Bob Baffert is looking for his record-tying 6th win tonight. Luckily for him, he's got 2 horses in today's race. Grade 2 winner 1,000 Words earned his chance here after winning at the stakes at Del Mar. Baffert says the horse isn't big on crowds and could end up thriving without any fans in today's stands. Grade 1 winner Authentic is the faster of his 2 horses. As for odds go, both horses are 9-1. Baffert is betting on Authentic, but says he could be surprised.
I have 2 great chances, and they're doing well. If I were to get lucky to win the race, you know, when things like, I usually win it with the other horse, you know, 1,000 Words, you know. I'll go in thinking it's the other Baffert, right? How come we didn't have him? Did you know that, Bob? Oh, yeah, of course.
Looks like he's still keeping lighthearted there, and despite the odds, you can never count Baffert out. One of the Derby wins includes War Emblem back in 2002, who paid $43 to win. A win tonight could give Baffert a record-tying 6th Derby win alongside legendary Ben Jones. And from the protest to the big race, we'll have full continuing coverage of everything happening this weekend, including that Derby Day forecast. Just download our free WLKY mobile app. I'm going to be out here live all morning on the morning show here. We're going to have team coverage throughout the day. But for now, let's head back to the studio for a look at today's top stories with Lauren Adams.
And Marvis, I got to tell you, you mentioned this is your first Derby, but you are doing a great job out there. You are really, you have become a Churchill Downs expert this morning.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Marvis. Here's a look at the latest coronavirus.